Welcome to Fortune Friday, an interview series where I speak with entrepreneurs about money, the lessons they've learned, relationship with, and the big dreams they have for their business and lifestyle. My name is Connie and I am a cash flow and business mentor. And on today's episode, we are talking with Terri Watkins of SpinFrogs.com. And Terri's story isn't much different than yours or mine, but let me share it a little bit so you can understand how she came to be with us today. Terri is a college graduate from Guilford College in 2009 with a major in psychology and business marketing. But she doesn't really want to talk about her resume. Let's talk about her journey. From college, Terri went into corporate America and then small business and then agency work. And it all led to her working as a partner to a business coach in 2017. Within just a few months, Terri discovered her business partner was lying to her about company funds. By May, Terri had calculated they had squirreled away about 6 figures that was actually owed to her. It was time to stop. So for her birthday, she gifted herself the freedom to start over. With $0 in the bank, she borrowed money and food from friends to help keep her home afloat while she worked out her next steps. That is how SpinFrogs came to be. SpinFrogs has helped hundreds of business owners grow 10% to 1,200% in 1 year in revenue with her marketing guidance, including her own business growth from 0 to 67,000 in just 1 year. And she is here today to spill the beans on how she does it. And she shares a lot of marketing information with us today. So what were my 3 takeaways? Well, I probably have 4, but 3 takeaways. I really appreciated, she comes to liking numbers or loving numbers from a forensic marketer standpoint. And so I thought that was really interesting. And I'm wondering if we can all take a more scientific experiment approach to our numbers when it comes to bookkeeping and financial data. So I hope you enjoy that part of the conversation. The other part was her big dream in her business is freedom. We heard about that in her bio, but not only for herself, but for others. Very inspirational. And of course, the roadblocks she shared, I think many listeners may have felt this due to COVID. But for her story around COVID is that she instantly lost 90% of her revenue. And she shared all the innovative ways that she found to build her business and help her clients through that. So I found that was interesting. And then at the very end, stay tuned to find out why she calls her business SpinFrogs. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Terri Watkins, the Chief Idea Catcher at SpinFrogs. So here's Terri. Well, welcome, Terri. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, Connie, for having me. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you and your audience today.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about your experiences with money. And so my first question I'd love to start with is, what is your earliest memory of money?
So I was thinking about this, and I have a really fun one that some of your audience maybe can relate to. So when I was a kid, my mom worked for a bank. She worked for Eastman Savings and Loan in Rochester, New York. So teaching us money savings techniques when we were young was like her thing. She loved doing it. And so I remember, I don't know how old I was, but she had got me a little piggy bank that would oink every time I threw a coin into it. And that was my favorite thing because I just wanted to hear it oink. It made me laugh. So every time I found a penny, I'd pick it up just so I could put it in my Oinky Pig piggy box. And I would go into mom's purse and try and find loose change in the bottom of her purse, or I'd go digging through my dad's pockets, or I'd scope out the laundry machine to see if there was any change left in the laundry machine, just so I could throw it in the piggy bank.
Sure. Did she ever regret that? Did they ever go take out the oinker noise or take the battery out? You're
I'm sure eventually they were like, I don't know why it stopped oinking, Terri. It just did.
Oh my gosh. But I love that idea that you loved the sound and associated with putting the money in there, but you were constantly looking for it then. And so you were constantly looking for the abundance that was around you. So
exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. And I still do it today. I don't have the Oinky Pig piggy box, obviously, But when we go for our walks,
Mhm.
I look down at the ground because there's always change. I picked up 10 cents today, but a couple of weeks ago, I was out for a walk by myself in the middle of the day and I picked up a $50 bill.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
just laying there on the ground. But because I'm always looking because I know
Mhm.
it's around. It was just a habit that they taught me really early on. Always be looking because it's always around.
Yeah. No,
You
I
know what I
love
mean?
that because that really plays into business too, is that when we are looking down at the lack in our bank accounts, building that muscle to look up, to have that gratitude to look up that it's always there, and that trust and that faith of
Mm.
it is going to be there. It seems funny to people like, well, you want me to go and pick up the penny? I'm like, yeah, have some little gratitude for finding some money somewhere. So I love that
Yeah.
your mom taught you that. So that she must have given, like you said, gave you a lot of tips on savings.
Mhm.
Did they teach you anything else that you or anything you observed from your parents growing up around money?
Save for retirement early and don't touch that shit. Like, leave
Ah!
it alone. Because, yeah, like I love my parents. I do. And I appreciate everything that they have ever done, sacrificed, given to allow us, me and my brother, to have the life that we had and have and get to continue to have. And I also look at where they are financially, living off of Social Security benefits
Mm,
and struggling and really being frustrated because they have two grandkids coming into the world this year. And
wow.
money is a challenge because they live so far away
Mm,
that now it's like, ooh, we probably should have saved more. We probably shouldn't have this or we shouldn't have that. And it's like, yeah, my parents would have told me not to do that. And they're like, who were her parents? It's
well,
so funny.
I think were your parents employee mindsets. They had jobs for the most of their life,
Yeah.
and my parents were as well. And so it was that retirement, and they often, like my husband's father stayed with the company, but he stayed with the one company for all of his working life, and the benefits changed during all that time. They were really great, and they thought they were going to have really good benefits, but by the time he retired, it had reduced a lot.
Mhm.
And I think that was the thing, is that people stayed at one job, or they stayed at a couple jobs but never really built a retirement or things, or never thought too much of the future. It was mostly paying for school or paying for the current situation,
Yes.
type of thing. So yeah, um, interesting. So yeah, so build your pension early or your retirement early, so that, and then don't touch it. I didn't learn that.
leave,
Yeah,
leave it alone. Like,
yeah.
if you're going to invest in something, it, it doesn't matter what you're investing in. If it's in the stock market, if it's in stocks and bonds, if it's in CDs, if it's in cryptocurrency, it doesn't really matter what you invest in. Make it a long-term investment. It is not meant to be something that you go in tomorrow and you're like, how's it doing? How's it doing? How's it doing? Because it's gonna not really do a whole lot tomorrow. It might not even do a whole lot this year.
Yeah.
It might not even do a whole lot for the next 5 years, but in the next 25 years, there will be something there that you can actually say, wow, see, I put it in there and then I forgot I had it and look at what happened to it.
Yeah. Do you, on a different note, this isn't, you didn't know this was a question, but
It's okay. I love surprises. Surprise.
well, since you're going on this savings and you mentioned cryptocurrency, I'm wondering, what does it look like for you to keep your financial education current? Are you somebody that's like reading financial magazines or listening to podcasts, or is it just, that's just something you do on it every day, or is it something you just pick up now and again?
It really is just something that I pick up now and again. I
Yeah.
have a couple of good friends who have really been into the crypto space specifically. So we'll get into a phone call or we'll get into an email conversation or they'll share something on social media that I'm like, huh, interesting. I just learned something new. Thanks.
Yeah.
And then I feel
Yeah.
like I know something, but let's be honest, I really know enough to be dangerous in this space and not anything more.
And I think that's part of it too, is that a lot of us don't. increase our knowledge around finances. We know the basics. This is what happens with financial advisors, that we just give them money there and trust that they'll take care of it. And that trust part is, well, yes, trust, and watch and ask questions and learn what questions to ask about things. And that's the piece of that, especially as women. I think, at least when I was growing up, we were told not to really be concerned about money or how it grew.
There were 3 topics of conversation that were taboo when I was growing up. You never talk about religion, you never talk about politics, and you never talk about money.
Yeah.
Those were the 3 things you never talked about because it was rude.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so you didn't learn about it. And we don't have the financial literacy in our country that we really need in order to make the smart decisions. The financial institutions, the Federal Trade Commission and the Federal Communication Commission work together to make it difficult for financial institutions to really disseminate the information in a way that we people who aren't studying finance can understand. Yeah. And so there's a huge barrier of entry, I think, when it comes to investing in your future in our current economy, in our current environment. Yeah. And that's just done through the institutions that we already have in place. And I think that's one reason why cryptocurrency is something that's worth following, because it is in and of itself a system that knocks on the door of what currently exists and says, what if we did it different? What if we were more transparent with how this worked? Now, don't get me wrong. Crypto is super complicated because its value changes every 2 seconds based on who's invested in it and how much is available in the market versus what's not available in the market. But that's exactly how gold and silver was when it first came out too.
Interesting.
You know, anytime we introduce a new currency, it's volatile like that. And so I think if we can be patient with it, if we can let it find its stabilization point, it could really change the way our entire world views and looks at currency in general.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about cryptocurrency. I am following a couple people to learn more. I think it's interesting. And there's that scary part where people want to just hide from it. But if COVID's taught us anything, it's about innovation. We have to be more innovative. We have to take more or ask more questions about what the norm has been and really explore how can we do it differently, because a lot of the institutions do need to be broken down and established in a different format so that they are more equitable across all people here in the States, and so that we can communicate with other countries as well. So it's interesting. Okay, I'll have to explore that a little bit more after our conversation.
Yeah, well, and I'm hoping, because like I had an associate that I was working with and she's in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Jamaica is not a U.S. territory.
No.
And because of that, they have different rules and regulations on how money can be transferred. And I literally am sitting on like $500 of money that is owed to her for work that she did that I don't have a way to get to her because of their regulations. Like I can't just go and cut her a bank check.
No.
And she has a check. Like I can't do that because she won't be able to deposit it. I can't use PayPal. We tried that. That doesn't work. She can't claim the money. So I'm hoping that this new system allows for more intercultural financial trade to be able to happen, because it is complex and complicated right now. And I don't know if it's a regulation reason that it's complex and complicated with being able to transfer funds, or if it's just the systems. They don't have the same systems that we do. So they just don't have the same technology we do, or don't have access to the same technology that we do. I don't know what it is that's preventing the financial trade to happen, time for money, but there is a blockage there. And I can't be the only person in business that has run across this challenge, especially when we're working internationally like we are now.
Yeah, no, we had a client that had something similar and there's amazing talent all over the world. And especially in the online space, we are going to be drawn to working with people outside of the US. And to have such problems getting people paid and having to go back to your company and say, oh, right, you can't be that expansive. We got to keep it small, and we can only do people that have US bank accounts. And I think that feels so culturally wrong to do that. But yes, it's a little harder still to pay people outside US on a consistent basis, and not everywhere, but some places there are issues. So
I'm like, you know what? I'll just fly to Jamaica and pay you back. Just fly down and pay you cash.
I like that as a business expense.
Yeah. Oh, darn. I have to go to Jamaica this week. Shucks. She's like, come on. I'm like, yeah, I'll work on that.
A retreat, a planning retreat, and you can exchange money there and give her actual cash.
Exactly.
I like
exactly.
it. All right. So we've heard about your early interpretation of money and your love of savings. Did that also translate to your love of numbers for your business, or was that a different?
That's interesting. That's quite possible. What I do as a forensic marketer is I'm in the numbers for the marketing component of a business. So tracking, what are we spending? What is that producing? What is the lifetime customer value of an organization? Is it worth this investment, or do we need to reallocate this investment into something that's going to produce either more richer clients, so it's more financially worth making that investment, or more because the client is with us longer, we've somehow figured out how to lengthen the life cycle, so we've increased the lifetime value. So I do a lot with the metrics and play a lot with the numbers, because at the end of the day, marketing is science. And if you come into your marketing for your business and think about it as a scientific experiment, so we're going to go back to school. And scientific experiment, it is you create a hypothesis first. Then you test your hypothesis through a series of different experiments. And then you come to a logical conclusion based on the results of those experiments. So you're going to get the results, you're going to analyze the results, you're going to have a conclusion of what was good, bad, and different about that hypothesis. And then you formulate a new hypothesis and you do the whole thing over again. That's the science experiment. And if we entered marketing that way, well, we need the results. And then we need to interpret those results to determine what our next best step is. And that's where I find a lot of business owners fail, because it's a full-time job to do that. And they just want to run their business. They love what they do, which is awesome. What they do is needed. And they don't necessarily have the resources to hire on the full-time marketing director like these six-figure and Fortune 500 companies do that have hundreds of thousands of employees within their care. These small businesses just don't have that, but they still need that data in order to operate and perform optimally when it comes to attracting new customers to their business and ultimately grow their bottom line revenue, which means more money for them to save, more money for retirement, more money for retreats and excursions, that kind of thing. And I think that's the piece that a lot of small business owners are missing, is they have access to all of these reports. Thank you, Google Analytics. Thank you, Facebook Analytics. Thank you, Instagram Insights. We have all of these things, but we don't know what any of this language means. It's like speaking Greek to an Italian.
Yeah.
Like, what? So being that interpreter, where I can come in and say, okay, this is our science experiment. It's my job to look at the results, be the interpreter of the results, and then formulate a new hypothesis based on those results. So in answer to your question, I think that was a long answer, but in answer to your question, I do think that perhaps my love of like seeking the abundance and saving does relate to my passion for the analytics and the money now. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. And I love that you came from numbers from the analytical standpoint. Because I think a lot of the guests I've had on, numbers is that good or bad in math. And it's not something that you use to get to an answer. And so if they had a math teacher or somebody in their life that said, oh, you don't have a brain for numbers or something like that, then they equated that they couldn't do the math. And so that they're ignoring the numbers and but I can't say that I have a analytical brain like yours, but I could follow what you were doing. I'm like, oh yeah, metrics is not my favorite thing to do. Yet I'm over here in the math and I can do that, but it's the same thing. Bookkeeping and for a business is the same thing as taking the data and analyzing what's working, what's not working, and then how is it feeding your business? How is money flowing through your business? So it's somewhat similar, but I like the scientific experiment of marketing. That gives it a whole new look.
And most people don't think about marketing like that. Most people look at marketing as a necessary evil, an expense that they have to do, and they don't like it. Because who likes spending money that they don't want to spend?
Yeah.
Nobody. We just have to change our perspective. It's an investment. Yes, it's an investment that if it's invested properly and it's maintained, can produce more revenue.
Yeah, I love this.
Is what we want.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing. You know, it's funny though. I actually really stunk at math in school.
Oh.
And it's because they would throw a bunch of like Pythagorean theorem or algorithms up on the wall, and you had to try and figure out these mathematical complex formulas. And I'm like, but why? And for me, my logical brain could not figure out these mathematical problems because nobody could tell me, but why? Why do we do it this way? And so I think that's where the scientific experiment got to come in and really help me to identify this is why. Because this is how science works. And math is just a derivative of science.
Yeah. No, I love this. I love this piece.
So it helped me so much.
Well, and as a bookkeeper, as a cash flow mentor, I'm always talking to clients about, great, you want to spend that on advertising. So how are we going to measure the success of it? What's the end result? How are we going to know if it's bringing you good returns on it? So I like this idea of being able to explain it in a little different scientific way. Okay, sure, you can experiment with one of my clients is going to do phone booth advertising. So because it's based on walking this certain area. And so great, let's do that for a certain period of month. And that what are we going to measure coming out of that type of thing? So interesting.
And we have to keep in mind when we're doing any kind of marketing, there is a lost metric that we can't track.
What's that?
And the lost metric is the conversation that happens offline. We don't know, like we could put social media content out there. We can do a phone booth ad. We can do a shopping cart ad. What we don't know is the conversation that advertisement sparked that turned into a potential referral or 5 referrals. We're tracking the referral. We got the referral from this person or that person, this doctor, this attorney, whatever. Great. Thank them absolutely for the referral. But what sparked that decision to make that referral? We don't know. Could have been the email. It could have been the social media. It could have been any of the other advertising. But that referral partner isn't going to refer to that piece of advertising and say it was that sparked me to remember you to pass the referral. They're not going to do that. So there's a lost metric there of the offline conversation that happens because we can't measure it.
Yeah. Interesting. But that's, I'm just like, well, make that question when people come to us. We ask, how did you hear about us, or who do we have to thank? But maybe we have to think back. Did you see us somewhere? On social media or something like that. Interesting.
And people misattribute too. So one of the things that I've noticed is if you ever at any point ever ran a TV ad, doesn't matter when it was. The funny thing is if it was a good ad, it's going to stick with people for a long time. I remember ads from TV when I was growing up as a kid in Rochester, New York. I don't even live in Rochester, New York. Those businesses aren't even in business anymore, but those ads and their jingles are still stuck up here. And if they were in business and I needed them, I have it, right? That's the form of or power of good advertising. And at the end of the day, if you ran a TV ad, if you had a billboard at any point, you might not be running it right now, but somebody will be like, well, I saw your billboard. I saw my billboard when? 10 years ago? Okay, I'm going to put billboard down, even though I don't think we have a billboard right now. Sure, billboard, right? So they misattribute all the time where they hear it from. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest challenge too in advertising is there is a percent fallacy or percent of error that exists because we're human. We don't
Mhm.
remember everything.
No,
We
no.
try, but we don't.
So true.
And our memory is faulty.
That's so true. All right. I always like to talk about, because businesses, what we don't talk a lot about business is that it's not always shiny and good, happy thoughts going on in business. Sometimes we have a rock bottom moment. Not a lot of entrepreneurs think about it as a rock bottom moment. Sometimes it's just a learning opportunity. So did you have an opportunity in your business that shifted what you do or that you learned a lot from, and maybe it related to money? Can you think of one that happened?
Yeah. COVID, I'm pretty sure everybody listening to this can relate to this right now, right? So 2020, January of 2020, I'm in the middle of New York City and New Jersey. I'm there for a conference with 1,700 other people that I've never met before in life. And then I come home and within 30 days, everything's shut down because of this COVID thing that's going on. And within a matter of 30 days, I lost about 90% of my revenue. My business.
Wow. Wow.
And what I learned back in 2009, after the economy crashed in 2008, is the businesses that doubled down and said, nope, I'm going to stick this out. I'm going to keep investing in my marketing. Those ones survived. And not only did they survive, they really thrived through it. And so the ones that left me, some of them are still here. Some of them are not. Some of them have closed down, which is really unfortunate. The ones that stuck with me, they're thriving. They're gangbusters busy. Like they can't keep up with it. It's more business than they know what to do with. They're expanding. They're bringing on new team members. They're expanding their office to accommodate the new flow of people that are coming in. And the only thing I can attribute that to is they doubled down and they made that investment. And so what I had to do was double down myself, right? So I went and got one of the PP loans so that way I could have a couple $1,000s to put into my marketing. Got new headshots and branding session done. I revamped all of my graphics. I, invested in a social media LinkedIn manager to help me create new copy in my LinkedIn space to help make that really shine the value that we have to offer. So I was not just telling my clients to do this. I was putting my money where my mouth was, and I was doing it for myself as well. And I also took a sharp pivot. And instead of only offering one-on-one services, which is all I was doing to that point, I launched 2 courses. So I have the do-it-yourself to search engine optimization program for the people who manage their own website and they want to start getting credibility with Google. Because we know when we have credibility with Google, we get visibility with our ideal customer, and that's where the profitability gets to come into play. So those are for the people who are doing it themselves, or maybe they have a team member, an intern, a daughter, a son, a sister, a brother who can do it for them. So this program gives them the resources that they need to learn how to do it and how to hold their teams accountable. Because there's a million ways to market your business. There's also a million ways to do just search engine optimization.
Oh,
And
wow.
most companies are not investing in all of what SEO has to offer. And most SEO companies don't have the skills to do all of what SEO has to offer. So we cover just the basics in that program to help people get started. And then I launched my Propel program, which is my group coaching program. It's a 12-week program to walk people through. How many times have you walked around your office, Connie, going, how the hell am I going to make bookkeeping and accounting interesting today?
Yes.
We all do. Okay, I have to post something today. First of all, we say I have to post something today. What the hell am I going to write about? What am I going to share? What am I going to say? I guess I'll take a picture of this pen and make some story up about how I'm using it because I have to post something, right? Especially in the Facebook and Instagram space where we need to be posting, 12 to 15 times a day in today's world. how are you going to post 12 to 15 times a day valuable stuff that isn't just making noise?
Mm-hmm.
So Propel helps people figure out, what the hell content do I even need to be sharing? When do I need to be sharing it? Where do I need to be sharing it? So that way I can attract my ideal customer, because being interesting is just one piece of the pie. You can be interesting. All you have to do is put on a dinosaur costume or a unicorn costume and you're good. You're interesting. But at the end of the day, does it actually translate into dollars and cents for your business? Chances are being interesting isn't the only thing that's going to help translate into revenue for your company. You have to add value. And so helping people add value. And that's what Propel is all about. So I have that program now too. And neither of those programs even existed pre-COVID.
Not even as a thought pre-COVID?
The DIY one was in process,
Mm-hmm.
but Propel wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a thought. It was May of last year when I started thinking about it and started bouncing it off of people. And then July rolled around and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I actually launched it in September of last year.
Nice. Nice.
And I've had 3 rounds of it so far. It's been really amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I do think that SEO course is for especially leaders who might not even be in it. It's good to know. I've come across a couple clients who have been thinking about hiring SEO consultants, but their reaction is, I don't even know what this guy's going to do. And so getting a basic course of what SEO is and what you should be expecting from it, or being able to sit in the room and have some type of educational conversation about understanding what they're giving you, I think would be really beneficial.
Yes.
For a lot of businesses.
And the terminology changes all the time. Why? Because we're marketers and we hate to use the same word 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
We just need to change the name because it's more fun that way. It keeps it exciting and interesting. But at the end of the day, all it really does is confuse the rest of the world in terms of what's going on. So I really work to be that translator to say, okay, SEO, SEM, they're different things. SEM is search engine management, often involves directories and paid ads. Search engine optimization is only what's happening on your website. That's it.
Good. So now we've learned a lot about marketing too.
That's right. Didn't know we were going to have a marketing conversation today, but there you go.
So in your business, do you have a big dream, or maybe in your lifestyle that the business helps you support around? Is there something besides, now you've got these courses, you've got some expansiveness in your business, and you've been doing all this advertising. Now, do you have something you're working towards?
Freedom for myself and others is my big why.
Freedom.
Nice. And it really connects to living the American dream. I mean, in our country, in the beginning of COVID, our small business sector made up 50% of our annual gross domestic product. But our small business sector has a 90% failure rate currently inside of the first 10 years. And so for me to create freedom for myself and others, it is freedom of information. It is freedom of financial funds and accessibility. And in order to do that, we have to improve that success rate. So my goal is to support enough business owners that we can change the success rate even 10% in the time that I'm working. So make it a 20% success rate instead of a 10% success rate of those businesses. And I just want to see what's that going to do to our annual gross domestic product, because we have some amazing companies that are born and bred USA all the way, that are not exporting. They're not using labor from third world countries or products from third world countries, and they need our support. So I believe the word small is limiting. We are all entrepreneurs and business owners, and we need to stick together. And part of that will provide the freedom that we all deserve and what we're all working for. And since 4th of July is coming around, that's the beautiful thing about the independence of our country, is we have the freedom to do that. Yeah. So that's me. That's my big why. That's why I keep doing what I do. It's all about sustainability for myself and for others.
Love that. Oh, that is very inspiring. And so I'm going to guess that your business helps with that freedom, but is there another gratitude around your business that you have? Or is it just that it gives you that ability to have freedom for yourself?
The biggest gratitude that I have around my business is the ability to meet so many amazing people near and far who are doing incredible things that I couldn't even imagine possible, but they have dreamed up this dream and they're doing these amazing things. And just the honor to meet those people, share a space with them, and help support them, even if it's through making a connection for them through a networking group, or providing a free resource for them. That's for me, that's the biggest thing. That's what lights me up. That's what gets me excited. I just love meeting new people, because I feel like nobody can have too many friends, so everybody I meet is a friend.
I like that. Yes, our business has given us, it's the best form of personal development, but it's given us a vehicle to meet so many new people. If I was still in public accounting, I would only be meeting the people that were drawn to the business, to the CPA or the tax pro. It would be still very limited. It wouldn't have this reach that I've had. So that's amazing. And someday your business will also pay for you to go to Jamaica.
Oh, it will. It will. It's just a matter of time. Of course, now there's 3 of us that I have to pay to go, not just me and my husband.
But it'll happen. It'll happen.
It'll happen.
Well, I appreciate you, Terri, for being here and sharing all that great story. And I don't think anyone shared about the scientific experiment of numbers and things and how that can work in marketing. So I really appreciate all that story. You have something, you've talked about it a little bit, but what gift did you bring for everyone that's listening? Because I'm going to get this gift afterwards, but tell people what it is.
Yes. So if they just go to SpinFrogs.com, and that's SPIN like in Nancy, FROGS.com/gift. I have a downloadable PDF for the 17 unbelievable ways that they can grow their social media. And it's free. They just have to go and claim it and they can have it.
I love that. We didn't ask, why SpinFrogs?
Oh, that's such a good one. So SpinFrogs, because business owners are a lot like frogs. We build up our shop, whether it be an online shop or a physical shop. We build up our shop and we sit back on our lily pad with all these ideas flying around our head, waiting for the customers to come by. We're just sitting there waiting for them to come by. I mean, Field of Dreams, if I build it, they will come, right?
Yes.
So this is what happens for business owners. And they sit there and they have all these different ideas flying around their head, and they don't know what ones to catch, what ones to implement. And, they go out and they catch this one and they start working on it. And then this other one comes by and they're like, oh, oops, I just dropped that one. Oh, I just dropped that one because I'm going for the, so they never complete. Mm. And so SpinFrogs, because it is about how we spin our message so that we can stop spinning our tires. And I come along and help those frogs catch the ideas that stick.
I love that. Oh, okay. Everyone, make sure you go to spinfrogs.com, get that report, learn more about Terri and what she's doing. And thank you. Thank you again for sharing all about your numbers and your earliest memory of money and everything with our listeners today.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you again so much for having me. And yes, spinfrogs.com/gift. Go there, get that free downloadable PDF. And you can always reach out to me, SpinFrogs. I'm on all the social media networks, including Clubhouse as SpinFrogs and Terri Watkins on LinkedIn. So I'd love to connect with you, have a conversation if there's anything I can do to support you.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for listening. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.